All right, let's call it to order. Start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. All right, start with the consent agenda. Anything anyone wants completely pulled? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Anything you want discussion and clarification? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any against? All right. And I did go through and make sure you had all the asterisks on them,
I know, I was so.
just making
I was a
sure.
little neurotic about
You guys
that. 'cause
try
I
to
knew
pull
it was gonna
a fast
come
one.
on.
All right, President, Vice President's report. Yeah. Just curious, I mean, I don't know how many were able to go on the walkthroughs. Yeah, I mean, my take on it was that for what they have to work with, the buildings were in really good shape. I mean, it does point out a lot of the stuff, at least to me, that needs to be done in the capital project. You know, it's not something we can take care of on the, put a 50 grand here and take care of things. But I was very happy. I enjoyed the walkthrough. Thank you, John, Elliot, Caroline. Anybody other comments on the walkthrough?
I thought it looked great.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Spent more time looking at new stuff and painted stuff and, stuff that needed repair.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of these days, I think we just got to have board members carry a can of paint with them.
Mark,
And just, circle thing. All right. Anything, Chris?
no, unless, Elliot, did you want to give an update on my time or your time as far as just the call? Okay, you can add it to yours, that's fine, I'm good.
The Dutchess County School Board Association, they are starting a legislative, I want to say legislative actions group, something like that. I think it's pretty much a natural extension of what you're doing with the legislators. So hopefully you can, if not all, most of those meetings are all remote. But that's supposed to start up, I think, in October. And then as hopefully the Dutchess County School Board Association, that meeting is the first Thursday of every month, starting in October. And everybody's welcome to tie in and listen. It's an interesting place to get the priorities from other districts. But anyway.
Can I ask, are we all on, because I get those emails, you guys all get them too, correct?
You should, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right, superintendent's report.
Yeah, good evening. So I have a couple of just updates and some events coming up that I wanted to mention. So I wanted to congratulate Conference Day. We've heard that it was one of the best ever. So it was a jam-packed day. There was not any downtime for anyone, but it's gotten rave reviews. And so thank you to Dr. Watkins and the team for putting that together. We're really excited that we have 3 more individuals who are doing their Orton Gillingham practicum this year. So that will benefit our students now and also into the future. So that's really exciting. I did want to thank John and the facilities team again. I know there was a lot of positive feedback from both of the board teams that did walkthroughs. So thank you for all of your work this summer. And we did meet at the capital planning team on Friday to sort of hone in even more on the direction of the work and the 3 propositions and putting that together so that we will have another review with the Board of Education coming soon. We do have some nursing changes in the district. As you will see on tonight's agenda, we lost nurse Sangan will be going to a neighboring school district. So we have hired nurses to fill both spaces that were available. So Melissa Sullivan from Alden actually will be going to the high school. So that is not a new nurse, but it is new to the high school. Brenda Melton was hired and she will be the nurse at Alden Place. And then Deanna Chandler is on the agenda this evening. And she will be joining the middle school team in late September when she vacates her position in her district. So we've had a really smooth beginning to the school year. Some little bumps that had to be smoothed with all of our new technology, but thank you to the tech department for all of their assistance with that. We do have actually a late change to potentially for school districts for their calendars in the future. We will now be closing for the Lunar New Year. Governor Hochul signed into existence a bill that will schools Lunar New Year. This year it's on a Saturday, so it actually won't impact schools. But there's language that says if it's on a Sunday, it would then be observed on the Monday. So this year, no changes, but going forward, we will be recognizing that in our calendar planning.
Do we know? I mean, I'm gonna try to be like, no calm. Why? I
Or,
mean, the Lunar New Year, is it something that's,
I didn't. I gotta Google it.
I mean, I think they're trying to honor all different cultures and that's a really big holiday.
interesting?
So,
Can I,
And what
so does that mean like we have to like add a day back in somewhere or take a holiday out?
so no, this year we don't have to do anything
Right.
because it's on a Saturday, but in the future, it will just mean that that is one of the days we have to have off. And then we have to plan the 180 days of instruction and superintendent's conference days around that. It is a little bit challenging in Millbrook because we don't start before the Labor Day. We always start after Labor Day, and Region Reading Day is in the end of June. It's a day that's handed down by the state, so we always fit our calendar in between there. So, we're gonna really have to analyze it on an annual basis to see how problematic fitting those days in. We're gonna have to figure it out. It's, Juneteenth was just added and then this, so that's 2 more days, that we're working around when we're doing our calendar planning. So it just means that we have to be very careful when we plan, the winter recess and spring break and that kind of.
And is it just New York? Or
Yeah, it's state holiday.
but like our other states, do we know if other states are doing it? I haven't.
I
heard.
don't know, actually. I didn't hear anything about it and then it was just done.
Yeah.
Like over the
Okay.
weekend, we just found out it happened already. So like usually we'll get information about things that are,
Like
being
pending.
reviewed,
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know, maybe just with summer, maybe there wasn't a lot of conversation about it. I'm not really sure, but
Okay.
all of a sudden it happened.
But in future years, Saturday just doesn't count, Sunday becomes Monday.
Yeah, I don't really know why Saturday doesn't count, but yeah, if it's a Sunday, it becomes a Monday, so. So right now, nothing to do for 23-24. It's February 10th, 2024, so that's a Saturday, so nothing for this year. And then, like I said, next year, it'll just be one of the factors that we consider when we're creating our calendar.
Okay.
So, we received our IDEA, those are our special education grants. 611 is for school age children and 619 is money for preschool children. So in those grants, we built in a special education teacher salary for each building portion of that. We also have the summer mini grants that teachers are able to do any curriculum writing projects. Sometimes they do them collaboratively in groups. We also have a data compliance coordinator that is in there that is something that has been on an annual basis, and that organizes all of the special education data that goes up to the state for funding. We also have a staff services contract that is required, and we have a company out of Albany that does that. We also have some literacy training here on campus, as well as I had mentioned the Orton Gillingham practicums. And we also have a digital library of evaluation tools that are able to be used for evaluating students with disabilities. So that's some of the things that are in our grants. And I know we just got an email communication today that our ESSA grants are being reviewed, so hopefully we'll have them. That's all of our title grant money. Hopefully we'll have the approval for that back shortly. The training for all this is finally beginning this month. It feels like it's been a long time in planning, but the grant from the Office of Mental Health is finalized. Everything is coming through. The funding is coming through now, so we'll be able to do that. So that's starting at the end of this month. And then we have an SEL calendar on the website, so you can see all of the events that are coming up this school year. If you have an interest, there's actually a tab on our district website, so you can see all the different events and speaking assemblies and whatnot that'll be coming to visit our school. We have a couple of dates coming up. We have the Taste of Millbrook, sponsored by the Millbrook Education Foundation, on the 23rd from 6 to 9 at the Millbrook Winery. So that is exciting. If you have not purchased your ticket yet, you can go right online and do that. We also have back to school nights at Elm Drive this Thursday. Next week, we have Alden and the middle school. I'm sure Mr. Syke will mention the high school one coming after that. We have a safety meeting for the district emergency response team, and the health and safety meeting will be on the 20th, and we have a data meeting on the 28th. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Caroline. Question?
Thank you.
All right.
I have, sorry. Are you doing any of the coffee with the cabinet or community circles this year?
I'm not really sure that we'll be doing them because no one really attended them.
I know.
No matter what time they were, but we will still be doing parent university.
Okay.
So we'll have family university at different times throughout the school year, and we'll be advertising those dates in advance.
Okay, great. And I'm not sure. I don't think on my calendar I've received all the different committee meetings. Have you guys?
No.
No, that,
I
okay,
think
so.
it's in the Google Share Docs. So committee. But I could be wrong. I might check in that.
Okay,
I don't know, actually.
okay.
So I also just sent both of the committees that I am chairing. I specifically sent both out today. So you'll be getting them individually, and they are on our website also.
Thanks.
All right. Elliot?
Okay, so I'll start with, I'm gonna jump on the thank you training for John and his guys, because the guys did an amazing job, our team, and I'll say our core team, we had a couple of subs, some other 10-month employees that work elsewhere in the district that were helping out in the facilities department. I mean, there were bodies buzzing all over this place. So I know John's gonna speak in more detail as to what was done, and I know most of you actually saw the work that they did, so I won't get into all that, but I did want to share this past summer, the facilities department in Millbrook took on more work internally than they've done in recent memory, institutional memory, I'll say. We had a lot of folks, nobody can really remember a time when our team, our staff did the volume of work they did. I was doing some rough calculations, and by my math, our facility staff saved the district somewhere in the ballpark of $20,000 to $40,000 or more in what would have been otherwise expended as contract labor from the work that they brought home. So that equated to overtime for our peoples. We put money in our own staff pockets, and we still save the taxpayers a large sum of money. Tens of thousands of dollars in tax dollars were saved by our team, bringing home work, learning new skills, training each other. So I can't speak enough to what John and his team pulled off. And I think, you know, for all the reasons, right? Goodwill, training, and financial responsibility. I mean, they just did an amazing job, and I can't thank them enough. So thank you, John. I'm looking forward to hearing what you got to say about the actual work that was done. The business office had a success. I'm saying successful, like we haven't gotten the report yet, but we expect it to be positive. And so I look forward to sharing that with the audit committee when that's ready for to share the draft. We do have a vacant position in our business office. We're down an account clerk, and then with that shortage, our ladies are still doing an amazing job of keeping the business office afloat. Helping each other out. I think the team is gelling in a way that we haven't seen in quite some time. It's pretty fantastic to observe. I try to stay out of their way and support them as much as I can. You'll notice that our board members and staff have new ID badges. That's a project that was a joint project between facilities, technology, and human resources to get our folks their badge IDs. These are RFID badges. They open our doors, we replace our whole fob system. So that was a cool thing to add, and we will be reissuing them annually as one of our controls for both building security and personnel tracking. I also want to thank the tech team. I mean, there was projects that they tag teamed with our facilities guys. You can see the big Promethean board in the back of the room here. We added 38 new display boards on top of, the usual new cohorts of Chromebooks and new staff devices. There was a lot of heavy lifting that was done by the tech department as well, and I want to thank them for the work that they did. So Caroline mentioned we had a capital project meeting with the design team. Still fine tuning things. We're looking to put a presentation together for the board either at our next meeting or the one to follow. Really want to make sure we bring the board, quality information. And so with the feedback on the design parameters that were shared at our last workshop, we have all three agencies working together on a new proposal with updated dollar amounts. We're going to use the spreadsheet that you've become familiar with from the Colombo group that has the core of the cost as well as the escalation, the allowances, so we can really understand what that budget looks like, both in the short and long term. We've also looped in our financial advisors. So the folks at BPD were on the last call with us as well, because there are aid implications as the budgets are creeping into where they are now. We're dealing with issues like debt service management, maximum cost allowances. So without getting into a ton of detail, what that really means for us is that, every $10 million up to, I'll say 50 million for just an arbitrary figure, might have one type of tax implication, but then to go beyond that might hit differently because of maximum cost allowances per building. So there's some discussion that will need to be had, not just on the overall budget, but what that effect might look like for our taxpayers. The good thing is we're going to also be bringing forward our fund balance management plan, which is going to show that we're going to fully fund our cap reserve at 10 million. By delaying our vote to the end of the school year, we're actually putting off the acquisition of new debt, which is going to also help us in that debt management. So all of these factors are going to affect not just the bottom line, but how it affects the taxpayers, which I think is like the big deal, right? Like the big number is the big number, but how's it going to affect me as a homeowner? It is a much more intimate conversation that we want to have with our community. So we're trying to put all that together for you for the next workshop. Mr. Rosenberg and I'm sorry.
I was going to say on that, if it's possible, prior to the board meeting and presentation, if we can have a capital meeting, a capital projects meeting, committee meeting.
Yeah,
so that we can eyeball it and see if.
Yes, that's why I put them off. So I gave them a 3-week window.
Yeah.
In preparation of a week to have that meeting.
Okay.
And I'll send you guys the dates because I'm giving them 2 to 3 weeks to get the numbers together. And I want to have a week where we can meet with the board subcommittee and the whole project team. We've got Watkins back, our instructional folks, my business office staff, bring everybody together, pick it apart, and then bring it to the full board for workshops.
Okay.
Chris and I were able to have a meeting with the Friends of the Gazebo. They have been busy fundraising, and that's also part of the capital project discussion. They've shared with us their commitment to their cause, as well as their desire to keep the gazebo as where it is in terms of location and restoring it back to its original design in its original location. So that's just something that they wanted to share with us, share with the board. So I bring you that message on their behalf. They've currently raised roughly $24,000. And if you recall, the restoration quote that was given to us by BBS Architects and Engineers in July of 2022, just last summer, was about $67,000. So the Friends of the Gazebo have made a significant fundraising effort. We appreciate that. If we are to entertain including the gazebo restoration in our capital plans, we would have to also entertain how to deal with the shortfall of what they've raised versus what it would actually cost. So I promised them I would share their messaging, and so there it is. And I think that's it. I've asked our bond counsel to redraw our timeline in terms of legal requirements, reflecting the May vote. And we're working with our project team to build a scope around that as well. So when we have our next workshop, I'll be able to present to you the updated timeline. I'm gonna have the updated scope as dictated by the board in terms of the parameters. And we'll also be able to have the financial planners give us some round estimates on tax impact. I'd like to have them actually join the meeting that night, because I think they'll be able to walk you through the debt management plan based on how big the budget grows, or how big we're willing to support it though.
One thing is we get into the schedule for the project itself, or leading up to the vote. We need to put, at least for ourselves, hard stakes in the ground on when we're gonna present at these firehouses.
Yes, sir.
Because if we wait until January, then it's gonna be, oh, there's a meeting here, this is a meeting, gotta, oh, that nobody's. We wanna make sure that as soon as possible, we have them locked down, and then as soon as possible after that, we have we're sort of locking down our, this is what we're gonna talk about, this is the way we're gonna approach it. Cause to me, this is a lot of money, and it's a lot of needs. And we need to make sure that everybody understands it, then they can make their decision, on their own, but we need to make sure everybody understands the state of some of our buildings after 60 years.
Sir.
Okay. Questions? All right. John,
Good afternoon, everyone. Maintenance reserve work update, children room one is fully operational. We had a couple little bitches at the high school, a couple of classrooms were hot, but we went into the classroom, we opened up to new events, took care of the issues, and every classroom has full air conditioning now, so especially that heat wave last week, you haven't had the problems, so. Children room 2 is 80% complete, waiting a couple of additional parts, once we get that up and running, we'll be good, and in the future, when it breaks down, we get the parts, because this is how long we're waiting for parts, about 6 months. So we have the other one operational, that one breaks down, we get the parts, and this way we never go out. Like got ultimately look down, it was insane, so. We're on top of that. Elliot said the new car read ID door access system is fully operational. That was a lot of work with maintenance and custodial staff, they did daily jobs, wires to the doors, opening up the ceilings. And the tech department followed us up, so it was a team effort, and it was a really great job. We secured a new propane supplier, Parago, to the New York State contract. We're now paying half the propane what we paid before. So I researched it and got the contract. A propane tank for schools, and it's a really good company. We also secured a new fire and intrusion alarm monitoring company, Failsafe, for the district. We got a wireless system now, instead of the old copper line systems that were on the ground, and they were failing us, and some alarms were going off that weren't necessary. We had to come check it out. Now we got a wireless system, so it's all upgraded. Continual maintenance of the athletic field and cross country tracks, so it's got up and running now for cross country, so full care of that. And then some preventive maintenance programs we started up. Basically, the county performed annual cleans and old boilers district wide, so we make sure they're cleaned every year the right way. So until we get the capital projects, if it happens, making sure these boilers are cleaned properly. Quarter 5 performed an annual fire extinguisher inspection, including necessary code compliant upgrades district wide. A lot of our fire extinguishers were ancient and they weren't upgraded, like you had water fire extinguishers where you needed ABC ones. So we got a company to come in, we did all the fire extinguishers, so that's all up and running. We hired another new company, Z3. They inspect backflow preventative devices district wide and fire sprinkler systems at the high school. That's all inspected and ready to go. We service all units district wide, maintenance team did that, change the filters, they all the bearings and motors, so this way to make sure they're all up and running properly. In the middle school, 2 gender neutral restrooms right here on the 2nd floor. I tried to get 2 of them done, but it's the first time doing them, so we got 1 of them done and stuff and running. The guy did an amazing job. He was team up with the maintenance guys and the disposal guys. It was something new they never did before, so cutting tiles and, framing, sheet rocking. We probably been in there, it looks pretty good, so. In the future, we'll take on other projects like this. On the general office suite. We got new flooring, new ceiling, painted, installed moldings. And that was done by custodians as well as maintenance guys. We also had to have a window contract come out. We got one of our board members, former board members, doing a beautiful air condition for us. Excuse me. And we had to cut the glass and put it in the wall to put drop ceiling, and the air conditioning used to be up high. So that was a great thing. So at Alden, not too much going on over there. We did some, we purchased some playground, certified mulch, and spread it all over the place. So it's code compliant, has to be 79 inches up, different things, so it's safe for the kids. I only did the same thing with the mulch. Painted the common room over there, the nice colors, so it calms the kids down. Can't thank Mike Hurley enough. He did a lot of more work. I forgot to put in the report. He did a lot of decals all over the place, and then on the walls, on the floors, some of the board members seen.
Yeah, the century, yeah.
We moved the 3 large dying trees that were on the school grounds, just for safety purposes, and going to the neighbors' houses or fall on one of the kids on our side, so they go on the trees are fun. We arranged with the vendors, replaced 2 cracked glass windows. We also replaced the split unit air conditioning in the server room, so we don't lose internet over there. Gotta take care of that. And we installed a new fence line in the pre-K area. The fence will have moved pre-K kids to different rooms, so they're together. And on the bus loop, there was an old fence there that fenced the kids in. It was kind of dangerous, so we just replaced the whole fence. So that's all. I just can't thank the custodian and the maintenance guys enough. I mean, they took on jobs they never did before. We were teaching, and they were willing to learn, and they really stepped up. Some guys know how to use floor machines. We taught them over the summer, so it's a whole new attitude here at the facilities there. It's very good. So.
So one thing I think I'm not sure if everybody on the board heard about it or not, but you brought in the roofing guys under warranty, right?
Correct.
And at the last I knew, everything was
So
now
far,
fixed.
we got a lot of rain the last couple of days. Everything's holding up, especially on this floor in our records areas and our business areas where we get a lot of vital information. Nothing yet. But like, the only thing is the winter time.
Yeah.
With the ice, when it freezes up, it splits, steams, and that's where it seems it's the most problems. Like the rain, we're holding up with the rain, but if you get snow and ice, it does affect that.
Okay.
So I did have this company did come out also, and then got a couple of little estimates, just in case.
You know,
The
last thing,
warranty ends, I believe December 27th, and that'd be it. So
So
January,
we gotta
February,
go up.
something happens.
just kind of go out and punch holes in it. There was, one other thing that, I don't know if everybody saw it, I know Dina and I saw it on the walkthrough, was there was moisture buildup as usual in Elm. And this huge chunk of flooring, John's got a picture of it. This huge chunk of flooring just came up, had to be all repaired, so. We have to do something with that building, with all these buildings, because we're gonna end up with mold, we're gonna end up with, stuff that we put down gets knocked off. It's really, I was surprised by the size of the hole that, lifted up, but. Anyway, all right. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right. Amy?
Sure. Okay, well, thank you again. We continue to make updates and populate information on the new website. Mr. Ace has been very responsive to requests that we have for him to add things or move things around. Each of the buildings are working with Mr. Eads to try to populate information that parents look for to the new site. So if families are having difficulty finding anything, we do encourage them to email the feedback at millbrookcsd.org, email address because, Mr. Eads has been very responsive to that. This past week, we also had the opportunity to introduce our new communications specialist who is coming to us from PNW BOCES. She will be with us 2 days a week. Typically in district for one full, like 2 half days, and then she'll do the writing of the work that she's doing the other day. Laura Fasheen is her name, and she and I toured each of the buildings and many of the classrooms in each of the buildings on Friday. I had sent out an email to all staff with her picture, so they were comfortable about who she was, and tried to build relationships with the staff and her so they would feel more comfortable. I strongly encouraged all the staff to brag and not be shy, because that's one thing that teachers have a hard time doing, is sharing the good work. And we really strongly impressed upon everyone the importance of everyday work, not just waiting for occasions like the 100 days of school. And you can see if you follow the district's Facebook page, she did capture one of those everyday events last week in Ms. Link's room. The 4th grade had their hat ceremony, and she did, it's more than just the pictures, which is often where I will put a sentence or two when I'm in a classroom. She actually wrote a nice story to it. So it's really nice to have someone with a journalism background that's putting more context to those pictures. So we hope with the analytics that we'll continue to track, which is something else that Laura brings to us, is tracking what parents are looking for and most popular. We look forward to that, but we also encourage everyone to follow our Instagram and Twitter pages. Just to follow up the superintendent's conference day, I was really thrilled because it was a very intense, as Superintendent Hernandez mentioned, very intense day. When we only have the 1 day at the beginning of the school year, you just feel like everybody's running on a gerbil wheel. And I have to say, every person with the new student information system of Synergy, I thought anxiety was, and I'm sure it was, but everybody was so professional, and they were like, oh my God, I'm such great training. I feel so prepared. This was the best training ever. Probably the food trucks helped. I'm not sure. But happy bellies make for happy smiles, and whatever the recipe is, we'll try to continue it. Everybody was really happy. The P8 teachers continued their work with Dr. Sobrin as they moved into upgrading into Eureka Squared, and they were very excited about the work ahead of them. Again, the best part, I really believe, and we'll see how the year unfolds, but the PD calendar really is about repeated exposure with the consultants that we have, so it's not one and done. So I feel like there's a deep breath that everybody can take, because they know that's not the last time they're going to see that person that supports them. And Dr. Sobrin's been amazing about, if a teacher has a question, they email out to them, as the rest of our consultants will be as well. I also wanted to give a shout out to the secondary teachers, and to Mr. Seif and Mr. Cabello and Ms. Wolfsburg, who put together our own branded Millbrook EDU. And that was really putting together many systems that the district has adopted. You've heard us talk about Ruler and our MTSS system and OAS bullying and all of these systems, and we really are trying to personalize them to the needs of our students. So they did a wonderful job kicking that off. And again, I feel the great feedback comes from, like, this isn't one more thing as much as, oh, how does this work for us? Mm-hmm. And so again, kudos to everyone for your presentation on that. The opening of school, I have to say, just spending time in each of the buildings and seeing all the smiles, and now that my face is a little more familiar, I can very selfishly say the hugs are really welcomed, and the high fives and the knuckle punches. I'm very excited to be more known to the students, and to see their enthusiasm and not feel shy around me. So that's great to see their comfort level. Last Friday, we had OC 21, which is that online courses for the 21st century from PNW BOCES. Greg Fredericks was leading that work. He pushed into all the global 10 classes with Mr. Williams and spoke to the students. And we were able to have several students with that more personal small classroom environment learning about that program. Again, these are online electives. They have an asynchronous component, but they're virtual as well, live virtual. So it's really dependent upon the cohort as when they select times, just due to sports practice or dance rehearsals and things like that. So one of the examples Mr. Fredericks gave was that, you know, last year, the cohort picked that Sunday at 1 was the time that worked best for all of the students in the cohort. And these are students from 5 different high schools in Westchester and Dutchess County. So that's really, in addition to the exciting elective content that's being offered, the soft skills that are being offered to the student are immeasurable. So they're really working on self-advocacy, time management skills, their ability to work independently, but with also new students, not just the ones, particularly for a small district like ours, that they've gone to school with most of their lives. So I'm really excited to get the feedback from our students, but as I said, the content is another draw for the students. So we're excited to see how that goes. They have their first field trip to kick off the year this Thursday. So I believe we have 5 students that are signed up right now. So we're excited about that for our first year doing that. So we'll see more about that. And then the other thing that was new this year, we weren't quite sure how it was going to go, but you've heard us talk about MTSS and how we're tracking our students and trying to get all of our systems together so we could see it more easily. And that was one of the main reasons that we looked at Synergy, because we were having difficulty with School Tool to really get our systems to talk to one another. And we rolled out what we're calling the ruler tracker, which is really just an emotion tracker aligned with the ruler lessons that we've talked about from Yale Ruler. And I just have to say, while the high school students haven't been jumping on the bandwagon as much, where you really would want to see students using it is at the middle school, just being able to talk through at the beginning of the day, each of the students log on very privately, plug in what they are. It won't come as a shock that many of the students frequently say they're tired. And, but I feel the feedback that I've received directly from the teachers, as well as Mr. Cabello has received, is that it's allowed them, like, by second period, touching base, like, oh, Caroline, I heard you're a little tired today. What do you need from me? Is there anything I can do? And having those one-on-one conversations, which really builds that trusted adult feeling that students need in order to thrive in a school setting. So I'm really excited that the teachers have embraced it and the students as well. And just allowing them to have more personalized conversations that a student might not have been as willing to have. So that's my update for this time.
Just curious, Amy, when a student at the middle school, they input how they're feeling, does that go out to their entire team then, like their grade level team, or who gets that and how?
So the
quickly?
principal sees it, the school counselors see it, and I believe the grade level teachers
Okay.
see it, so the ones that they see, so they're also checking. So
Yeah.
initially, the goal was for Mr. Cabell, I mean, all of the buildings have access to it. Right now, it's really most popular at the middle school. Some of the high school students have done it, and I think you'll speak to that too. You're good?
But I could just say that
Yeah.
at the high school, I see the report, we have access to the dashboard, so I see it, the secretaries see it, school psychologists and the counselors see it. We're a little unique, we don't have teams, so
Right.
we're able to check in with those students based on.
And yeah, and I think the ultimate goal was that if someone was really feeling bad and they didn't know how to approach an adult about it, it just allowed us an entry road more quickly. So while initially we were like, oh, I don't want to miss someone, the reality is, if we didn't have it at all, we would definitely miss them.
Right.
So at least there's a potential, and I think ultimately it probably is gonna wear off, because more likely than not, they've built such a connection with the teachers coming to them that they'll just go to them face to face
Right.
anyway.
Right.
So I feel like it's a nice gateway for the
Mhm.
students to build the safe zone of saying, like, how do I feel? And just the feedback from the students of, I wish I had more words, 6 isn't enough words. So that's one of the really great feedback, to get the students to have some more buy-in on it, because I think they have tired and they have joyful, because we try to align them with the words within Ruler. So that's another thing that the administrators are going to talk to, work with Mr. Kirschon, and then also empower our students. We're going to try to plan through a way to empower our students to say, well, what words do you feel would describe, your emotions best, and know that an emotion, which is the big part about Ruler, emotions change throughout the day, and those are very typical things to experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie.
You're welcome.
All right. Eric?
So good evening. So overall, it's been a great start. Even though 5 school days, very proud of our students. Again, overall, it's been a really great start, especially compared to the last several school years. We are already diving into instruction. We're looking forward with the support of our new literacy coach, who's going to be supporting our English teacher this school year. We had our first faculty meeting yesterday, and we looked at some data, discussing some noticings and wonderings of last year's midterm exams, regents exams, and classroom assessments. And we'll continue to do that utilizing data, both classroom assessments, our upcoming IXL beginning of the year benchmark assessments, in both ELA and math. Dr. Watkins mentioned the OC21 opportunities for our students. So we're excited about those opportunities for those handful of students. Additionally, on our second day of school, our homeroom teachers began our implementation of roller lessons. That will be happening throughout the school year. What else? During our first day of school last week, we held a school-wide assembly, reviewing our school and district expectations. Traditionally, we held it the first day of school, and only then we had a 1-hour delay, but we allotted more time because Mr. Cabello and I felt that we needed a little bit more extra time, and boy, did I use it. But you know, I think students were very cooperative. And again, so far, especially compared to last school year in terms of the discipline data, we're off to a tremendous start. So I'm excited about our school year and really looking forward to a successful 23-24 school year. In addition to that, we will be starting our emergency evacuation and required drills, actually later this week. In terms of special highlights, our fall athletic teams are off to a great start. Football's back. We're very excited about that. Our first home football game will be Thursday night. We're just up at the soccer field, and the boys soccer team tied this evening. Then I made it over to the gymnasium, and our girls volleyball team is playing the Mount Academy. It's pretty exciting, and I just got an update from Golly and Janito, chaperone tonight, and our girls beat the Mount Academy. So that's so that's awesome. So that's hot off the press there. And then just additionally, Spirit Week is coming up. Homecoming is in a couple weeks, and we're excited about our upcoming pep rally. That's always a very exciting time for our students. Our homecoming football game and our dance. And then lastly, we just have Picture Day coming up next week. And at the end of the month, we will be hosting our back to school night on the 28th at 6 p.m. And I should share that in June, we had representatives from New York State Education Department visit the high school during the administration of our regents exams. And I'm happy to report that we were in full compliance with all of our testing procedures and requirements. So that's always nervous when the greeter tells you that someone. I think we can all attest to that. But all testing requirements, and procedures.
Excellent. Very good.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
I'm going to, the homecoming game, just, I don't know if anybody's on, like, I have not been to a Millbrook homecoming game, and there was not football last year, right? Like, is that, so like, what did you, like, do like lots of families come, and like, what is it like? And then, is the pep rally that night, or?
Yeah, so we have the pep rally that Friday night, 29, or excuse me, during the school day on the 29th.
Okay.
And we follow reverse 1-hour delays schedule for the students. And then, yes, it's traditionally very well attended homecoming. So Coach Hamill publicizes it, families share it, alumni sometimes, depending on where they are at college, typically and traditionally very well attended. And then Saturday night we'll have our homecoming dance.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a
And
full weekend.
it's like,
It's
not, you know, sometimes you think those things are gonna like get out of control.
Oh, no.
It's really,
It's just
it
well.
really-
I was thinking like, you know.
even the little ones get.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's what I'm thinking, if like some of the younger kids went and saw like some games and stuff like that, that would be pretty exciting for them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, thank you.
Fun weekend, thanks.
Cool. Very good. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
All right, next is new business. We have a donation from some alumni for $1,420. Do I have a motion to accept it?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments, questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay. No, the future agenda, we're gonna take apart the calendar and see, make sure that we get a lot of these things started early this year. That way we're not trying to, you got a week to get it done. But we'll come back to that. Do we have any questions from the public?
No
We do
comments.
not.
Okay, we're gonna have a motion to go to executive session, but before we do that, just in case anyone's listening, we may decide something in executive session that requires a motion. So the meeting doesn't end because we go to executive session. We sometimes come back and actually have to take public motions forward. So with that, do I have a motion to go to executive session?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? All right. Anybody need time?
Children.